So we're going to talk about Polygon, formerly known as Matic, price analysis, and what has been happening in their ecosystem. Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. If you're new, subscribe, bell button, leave a like, it majorly does help get me to the top. It will majorly impact you more than anyone because people are going to get wrecked in this market, as I've alluded to in previous videos. Anyways, this is relatively hot. It's a hot coin, mainly because Ethereum is pretty expensive. I won't use the words rubbish because people get upset and probably click off the video. Yes, I do not like Ethereum because I fundamentally think it doesn't work at the moment. This is where Polygon comes in. Let's talk about risk reward. This is doing well. I've mentioned it in my Twitter today. Check it out. Don't buy green, look at the reds. Let's see where this can go. Let's look at opportunities. I will be doing price analysis on other coins this week as well regarding what has been pumping like crazy. FOMO is a drug. It's an addictive element in the inner greed of your brain, which allows you to do anything you want. It's the same with anything, right? New iPhone comes out, I must buy it. Whatever this is, I must buy it because I want it. That's a guitar holder, by the way. It's going to go on the wall. You get the picture, right? We've all got it. We've all got that inner greed and we all want to buy things. So I'm going to go over the charts. I'm going to go over certain partnerships that's happened, which is relatively good in terms of use case regarding why this is important in the ecosystem. We'll look at some thumbnails for a laugh because it's funny. And we'll go over, obviously, prices. BTC, yes, and USD. Cool, let's crack on. So, as I've said, the Ethereum Internet of Blockchains. Now, it's relatively straightforward. It allows things to move faster. You can mint things on this in terms of NFTs. It just works. It works in a cheaper environment, allowing you, essentially as a developer or even as a user, to utilize this well. As you can see here, this is what the challenge was. Low throughput, poor gas fees, as we know. And there's issues with being a layer 1 blockchain of Ethereum and having about 8,000 coins bottlenecked on it, right? That's the simple challenge. It's somewhat been solved. And this is massively important in terms of the ecosystem for Ethereum. As you know, Ethereum compatible, it's scalable, security, all kinds of good stuff, interoperable, massive, right? But anyways, let's talk about some of the projects on here. Now, there's a reason why I'm talking about this is because obviously this is huge and you can see how many projects are now built on this. Now, a lot of people do, I know, remind me of some of my old videos on Matic back in the day. I didn't invest in it. I wasn't too keen on it because it was an Indian project back in the day. This is when India were literally looking to ban Bitcoin and cryptocurrency every single week. Didn't really want to be tied into an Ethereum, well, it was essentially an Ethereum-led layer 2 blockchain that was just based in India. It's totally changed since then, as you could probably imagine. But there's been a partnership announcement this week that I do want to talk about because it is, in my opinion, relatively good for the whole entire space in terms of adoption, in terms of website building. Now, this is it. This is pretty big, in my opinion. You've probably heard of unstoppable domains. They've been built on Ethereum and Zilliqa. Essentially, you can get your own domain name. It's blockchain based, so you can get a .crypto or .zil blockchain, which is relatively awesome. But the biggest downside to this was always the fees. Fees have gone. And that's massive, in my opinion. Why? When you're going on GoDaddy or any other website place, right, let's talk about it. It's simple because you know the transaction and the monetary value. You don't know that it is relatively centralized. There could be some issues there. But if you're building a website and you want a domain name, this is something that is relatively, engraved on the blockchain. But the fees were like, also that level of understanding of crypto. So this is basically going to be partnershiping with Polygon to allow the process happening. Now, it's going to happen in so many stages. The first phase going on in November the 15th. As you can imagine, it's going to be pretty interesting to see how this kind of does develop over time. But this will bring more and more people into this world because people want these blockchain-based, domain names for what they are, certainly in the future. So maybe a good collectible item. So that is a really big thing. Now, let's go back onto, obviously, what Polygon's aiming to achieve in the space. As I've mentioned before, with Ethereum, right, being quite slow and relatively expensive, even right now, currently today, I don't even know what the price is. They're not great. You know, that isn't still not great, realistically. This aims to solve a lot of those problems. And as you can see here, scale your decentralized apps in 30 minutes. That is pretty big. Anyway, should we look at some thumbnails? It's funny. Now, as I mentioned before as well, it's relatively hot right now. A lot of people are talking about it. As you can see here, this one grabs your attention, right? $17. Is that a possible level in terms of where we can go with this? Well, let's have a little look, because personally, I don't think that's going to be possible. My personal opinion on that. Why? Because I feel that is quite a long way out, realistically. You know, that would make it a monster coin. Now, if we're looking at what, $17 is a potential price target, that would be a pretty big valued coin. That would be literally rank number 3, $115 billion. No, I don't think that, personally, I don't think that's going to happen. I think that's quite way away. Obvious feelings there, mainly because of what it is. You know, yes, Ethereum can do all this kind of good stuff, but you've also got the likes of Polkadot, you've also got the likes of Cosmos, you've also got other blockchains which will, you know, talk with the language of Ethereum, which is going to be huge. Now, Moonbeam's coming very, very soon for Polkadot, which will talk to, you know, not so much Moonbeam, but even Moonriver, Kusama, Layer 1 blockchain regarding this, you know, the language of Ethereum. That's huge. So that's going to help massively. So maybe not going to be that high just yet. I think that's a bit too soon, personally. Anyways, charts. We're currently in a downtrend on the BTC pair. Why? Because the Bitcoin dominance is growing. And let's look at it. Let's look at the 3-day chart. You can probably see it in more detail. Still somewhat in a downtrend. Not much though. You could probably argue starting to consolidate there. But realistically though, we've got to look at the facts here. If we are going to create this as a bottom, let's just have a little look at this wick here. We've still got a long way to go in terms of retracing this move. It is a monster retracement. Let's be honest here. That is a big retracement. And when we look at the overall facts here, this is absolutely ballooned. And this is where it gets interesting. Now, when we talk about dominance and all kinds of stuff regarding that, it's in a good level. This is at the buy zone. If you have BTC right now, it may be an okay place to buy. Why? We've got an RSI divergence here where the price level's going down and this is going up. That's quite clear and obvious, right? That is simple. We're on the 618 level, confluence number 2. We have now broken above the EMA 21. That is all the confluence points I look at. Wow, it's sunny. I do apologize. But hey ho, let's carry on. But when we look at that, that is a monster buy, in my opinion, a buy signal, certainly when you look at that. It is very, very risky though, in some ways, because the dominance chart is not looking the best at the moment, right? So when we look at time in the market, you got to time the market well, because when you start looking at the likes of dominance, bear with me, let me just get it out. Be on there somewhere. This has gone up. It is also coming down, but for me, I feel we're going to go higher. I think we're going to pull back and then go do another impulse up. I think Bitcoin isn't done yet. So maybe just hodl your Bitcoin for now, wait and see what happens. But that's my overall opinion on the matter anyways, regarding that. Because when we look at this, yeah, it could pop up, but at the same time, it could also get battered, right? So just be careful. But the hype is there because the market wants these solutions, because Ethereum is, let's talk about it, pretty rubbish regarding fees. Now, let's look at this. Now, this is old analysis from quite a while ago. Let's have a little zoom in and see what I've done and broken, not done correctly. Now, remove off the log scale. The other one was obviously on the log scale there, because I was looking at a higher time frame sort of scale, but this doesn't look too bad. Now, this is the thing. We've had a monster, we've had a nice little pullback, to be fair. Let's talk about it. This is done all right. So when we start looking at this impulse here from this number 1 point here, this is what we've done. We've done a nice little retracement, and you can see it. It's very, very clear. And this is why it's interesting. Now, if I just, let's just, because this isn't my old fib at the moment, bear with. Let me just go back to what it is currently right now. It is obviously on the golden side. Actually, tell you what, don't be an idiot. Just do what you were doing. Just do that again. There we go. Because it is the exact same thing. Why is it not what has happened to my fibs here? I'm confused. That is really odd. I don't even know what happened now. My fibs have just reset randomly. Let's just go back onto there, put that as a golden thing because it makes more sense. Right, so you can see it, there we go. So it hit the 618 level perfectly, right? It had an impulse, it's pulled back, hit the 618, and now we're right at the top of this resistance level. This resistance point here, by the way, was marked out kind of somewhat here as well. If I just plonk that up a little bit and move it across, you can see there with all those wicks going all the way across, that is a monster level, right? We're breaking through it, which is good. However, where we're going to go next, now this is where the interesting thing is. I can delete that for now. Let's have a look at this, zoom in a bit. I don't know. Start from this impulse, I suppose. Going from the low of that. Are we at the top of that? That orange looks horrendous. Bear with me. It's really annoying me that that's gone all shit. There we go. No. Go like a yellowy. There we go. Golden yellow, that'll do. So, with regards to this, the top hasn't closed yet. We're on the daily time frame, cool. But the top hasn't closed. Now, we can go a little bit deeper here. Let's see where the potential top is. If we're looking at this impulse here, so start from this bottom here again, we've pulled back quite aggressively. And this is where it gets interesting because we've had a nice little impulse back over a 3-4 day period where we pulled back into 618 and then we popped off. We're at the top. I think we're at the top here. I think this is going to be resistance. I think we are going to pull back at some point, certainly over the next few days. And that's where we need to find the settling point. Where can we go? Now, this is another thing we can look at as well in terms of analysis. How far have we gone from this high to this low? We're very close to that 618. So maybe that level there, you know, if I just remove some of these noise bits and put that up there, that looks like the next level for me. Remove some of the stuff that's obviously below. You know, current level, next level. But this is where it gets interesting as well. So we need to see where the next destination point is. For me, I think that level is obviously going to be a place. We've got levels of structure here where it's rejected here in the past and it's created that lower high. But we've also got to think, well, where can we go in the future? Well, these are up to $4, $3.29, $3.59, and obviously $4 there. So in terms of going up and creating a new high, that is definitely possible. But we also need to look at the fact of this as well. We've got to take it in steps, and little steps are always helpful. As I've said at the start of this, go from this high, where we've had a pullback, and where these levels can go. We can see here as well, this level isn't far away from where obviously rejections have happened. So, you know, that level is going to be important. So that's one level there. But that's all we can really look at. There's not much really to go on. Oopsie. Other than that, and we are creating a new high. So this is looking bullish. But as I say, you should have been buying this dip. This dip was a great opportunity in my opinion. You know, I've already kind of mentioned it. You know, even this point here was a great little dip around $1. Huge gains happening in this market, but we've got to be realistic here. How far can it go? Well, we don't know. You know, what cycle are we in? How far is that going to go? We don't know. That's the ultimate question. So for me, roughly around $2, $2.20, definite next levels, but we could be going way beyond all-time high. I wouldn't say $17 like certain people, but I would say at least $3-4 is definitely possible in the next coming months. Certainly seeing where it goes. It isn't a monster. That isn't an uptrend right now. It's down to, well, certainly if its body closure is high, it'd be in an uptrend. Anyways, that's my rough analysis of this. I would start thinking though, from this point, if this closes and it does pull back, you're probably going to see it go in between where these levels are, where potential demand is. That demand could be good, and then we could start seeing where it can go from here. So for me, I reckon we're going to go towards this previous level, $2.22 roughly.